Magandang buhay sa ating lahat. Sa episode na ito ay aking ibibigay at ipapaliwanag para sa inyo, mga masugid na taga-subaybay sa aking YouTube channel, ang tungkol sa step-by-step process in solving rational inequalities. So nandito ang mga steps ng pag-solve ng rational inequalities. Number 1, write the inequality with a single rational expression on the left-hand side of the inequality and 0 on the right-hand side of the inequality. Ang ibig sabihin, lahat ng terms na nasa right side ay ililipat sa left-hand side at gawin siyang single fraction. Only one fraction in the left side and 0 to the right side. Next is, determine the meaningful numbers by setting the numerator equal to 0 and setting the denominator equal to 0. Ang ibig sabihin ng meaningful numbers, it's the critical values. You are going to solve the numerator equated to 0 and solve for that particular variable and also in the denominator. Next, use the meaningful numbers to separate the number line into intervals. So yung meaningful numbers or critical numbers ay ilalagay mo na siya sa number line at i-divide mo na siya in intervals. Test for the meaningful numbers if they make the inequality true or false. If true, then they are part of the solution. If false, then they are not part of the solution. Ang ibig sabihin, you are going to test it, the critical value, kung part ng solution set. Paano ninyo malalaman na ang critical value or meaningful numbers are part of the solution set? Pag less than or greater than symbol, hindi siya part of the solution set. So you use hollow circle or unshaded circle. Pero pag may equal sign, the symbols are is greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. So the numerator is, the value of the numerator is part of the solution. So it's a shaded circle or shaded point. Now, get the values in its interval and substitute this into the inequality. So, ang ibig sabihin ay you're going to substitute one value from the interval. Then, if the value is correct, then the whole interval is part of the solution set. But then if the value is false, then the whole interval is not part of the solution set. So pag na-divide na yon, so ang boundary niya ay yung critical value. So in between the critical value, you get 1 point and you are going to substitute to the original inequality. Then when the value is true, that's part of the solution set. But then when the value is false, the whole interval is not part of the solution set. And finally, you are going to express your final answer in any of the following ways. We have the interval notation, the set notation, or by graph. Okay, so let's proceed to an example on how to solve rational inequalities. First, what is the value of x given the inequality x plus 3 all over x minus 2 is greater than 0? Okay, our first step is gawing single fraction ang nasa left side at 0 ang nasa right side. And it's already done. In the left is only one single fraction at in the right is only 0. Step 2. Determine or solve the critical values to numerator and denominator. I said critical values, ito yung tinatawag na meaningful values. You are going to solve for x in the numerator and solve for x in the denominator. X is equal to negative 3 and x is equal to 2 for the denominator. Both values are not included in the solution because the inequality notation ang gamit ay is greater than only or is less than. Pag may equal dyan, then yung numerator ay included. So in this case, greater than lang siya, so hindi included yung value, yung critical value ng numerator. Ang denominator ay laging hindi kasama because the denominator maging 0, hindi po siya laging kasama. Next step is make a number line and plot the critical value. So you are going to make a number line. Our values are -3, x equals -3, and x equals 2. If you notice, it's a hollow circle because it's not part of the solution. Ang next step nyo ay gagawa na kayo ng boundary, okay, to divide it into intervals. There are 3 intervals. Below -3, in between -3 and 2, and above +2. So these are the 3 intervals. Ano nang gagawin sunod? You are going to test the intervals. Kukuha ka na isang value dito sa below -3 and you are going to test to the original inequality. Same dito sa gitna. You are going to test to the original inequality at same dito sa huli and test it to the original inequality. So we have here, so kinuha natin yung -4 and we substitute to the original inequality. It became -4 plus 3 all over -4 minus 2. Is that less than 0? So unlike sign, we subtract -1. The same sign in the denominator, we add -6. -1 divide -6 is 1/6. Is that greater than 0? If your answer is correct, then it's part of the solution. So if you notice, so I draw a line going to the left because this is part of the solution. Another interval is the middle. When x is equal to 0, I choose 0 because it's easy to substitute. So 0 plus 3 all over 0 minus 2, is that greater than 0? So we have 3 over -2, so it became -3 halves. Is that greater than 0? A negative number is always less than 0. So meaning it's false. So it's not part of the solution. The third interval, so itong kinuha kong 3 after 2, kahit anong number after 2 ang kunin mo pwede. So, substitute here, it became 3 plus 3 all over 3 minus 2. Is that greater than 0? So that's 6. 3 plus 3, 6. 3 minus 2 is 1. So 6 over 1 is 6. Is 6 greater than 0? Yes. Therefore, this is part of the solution from 2 to the right, but 2 is not part of the solution. Your last step is to write your solution set. I said you can write it in 3 ways by interval notation. So we have here from -infinity, because this is from the negative left side. So that's -infinity to positive to -3. It's an open interval. Open interval, -infinity to -3, and you use the symbol of union. Okay? Union ang ginagamit pag sumusulat ng solution set of an inequality. This is open interval from +2 to +infinity. It's an open interval. So this is from negative number to -3, union from 2 to +infinity. It's an open interval. How about by set notation? We have the set of all x such that x is less than 3 or x is greater than 2. So the symbol union, so we have, that's equivalent to a connector or. Okay, if that is intersection, that's equivalent to and. Union is or. You are going to get the elements. Okay, by graph, so you make this and this is the graph. So pareho lang doon kahit hindi mo na siya nga i-graph ulit kasi whatever that graph na ginawa mo sa step 3, that's already the solution. Okay, nakuha po. Kung hindi nyo alam kung paano sinusulat ang interval notation, set notation by graph, previous kong uploaded na video, ito yung diniscuss ko. The different ways of writing the solution of rational inequality. So another example. So the given inequality, we have x plus 3 all over x minus 2 plus 1. Is that greater than or equal to 0? Okay. Our step 1 is you are going to write single rational expression yung nasa left-hand side ng equation. Ang nasa right side, already 0. So, we simplify these two terms. Okay? Change the two terms to similar fractions and simplify. Okay, so 1 has a denominator of 1. The LCD of 1 and x minus 2 is x minus 2. We divide it to the first denominator is 1 times the numerator. That is why we have here x plus 3. Pag walang denominator, immediately multiply this to the whole part. So 1 times x minus 2 is less than or equal to 0. Only in the left-hand side, do not apply matubay or multiply all throughout. Iyon ay nawawala ang denominator. But when you change to similar fraction, ang ibig sabihin, nandyan pa rin yung common denominator. Then simplify it. So it became x plus 3. 1 times x is x. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Combine similar terms. X plus x is 2x. 3 minus 2 is 1. So all over x minus 2, which is less than or equal to 0. This is already in single form of rational expression in the left and 0 on the right. So therefore, we proceed to step 2. Determine or solve the critical values, the numerator and denominator. So this is the single expression in the left side of the equation. So therefore, we get the numerator 2x plus 1 equals 0. So transpose positive 1 to the other side, it became negative 1. Divide both sides by 2. So x therefore is equal to negative 1 half. This is included in the solution. Sabi ko nga, if the inequality ay may equal sign, therefore, the value of the numerator is included in the solution set. For the denominator, x minus 2 equals 0. X equals 2, it's not included in the solution set. Therefore, you use a hollow circle. Then after this, you are going to make a number line and plot the critical values. I have here, and our values are negative 1 half and positive 2. Yung negative 1 half, yun ang numerator, so it's a shaded point. And you divide it into intervals. There are also 3 intervals. Get one value for every interval. Okay, you test it. Which interval is included in the solution set? So here in this part, so I choose negative 4. So negative 4, so I substitute it here. So we have 7 over 6. Is that less than or equal to 0? So our answer is no. Okay, take note, when you substitute value, it's better that you use the original equation. So in this case, I did not use the original equation. Supposedly, you use the original equation. So, yun dapat. But you will arrive with the same answer. When x is equal to 0, so we have here 2 times 0 plus 1 all over 0 minus 2. Is that less than or equal to 0? And when we simplify, this is negative 1 half is less than 0, and that is correct. Therefore, this one is included from 0 to 2 as part of the solution. 0 is included, 2 is not included. In between is included. And another here, when x is 3, that is 6 plus 3, 9 over 1. Is 9 less than or equal to 0? No. Therefore, the only solution is the middle interval. Your next step is to make a solution set by using interval notation. Sa interval nito ay napakadali. It's close bracket, that's close, half close from 0 to 2. Okay? From, no, not 0, but negative 1 half. Okay, so bracket, negative 1 half, quit to 0, meaning this is half close from negative 1 half to 2. Or by set notation, we have x such that x is less than 2 but greater than or equal to negative 1 half. By graph, so we have here from negative 1 half to positive 2, shaded part yung negative 1 half, unshaded yung positive 2. So these are the different ways of writing the solution sets. Okay? Another, last. Suppose the given inequality is 2 over 3 minus x is greater than or equal to 3 over x plus 2. Your first step is to make the left-hand side of the inequality a single fraction and the right side is 0. So what you are going to do here is to transpose 3 over x plus 2 to the left. So it became minus and the right side became 0. And get the LCD. The LCD is the product of the two denominators. Okay, so what will you do? For the numerator is you divide first the new denominator to its denominator sa original. So we cancel 3 minus x, ang natira ay x plus 2, multiply to 2. So we have 2 times the quantity of x plus 2. Ang i-enclose yung binomial. Then we have minus 3. Then we cancel x plus 2. Ang natira ay 3 minus x. So you multiply that to negative 3. Is that less than or equal to 0? So we are going to distribute 2 inside the parenthesis. Also negative 3 inside the parenthesis. Pero yung denominator, wag nyo na pong i-expand. So naka-factor na siya. So dapat in factored form lang. Only the numerator kasi marami pa po siya. Now, our numerator, it became 2x plus 4 minus 9. Bakit minus 9? Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Negative 3 times negative x is positive 3x. Simplify the numerator. So we have 2x plus 3x are similar. So we can combine. That's 5x. 4 minus 9. Unlike we subtract 9 minus 4 is 5. And the sign should be negative 5. So therefore, we have 5x minus 5 all over the product of 3 minus x and x plus 2 is greater than or equal to 0. This is now in single fraction. Okay, huwag nyo nang i-multiply ang denominator kasi kukuha tayo ng critical values. It's easy kung naka-factored form na po siya. Step 2 is to determine the critical values. For numerator, so we have 5x minus 5. Solve for x. Transpose negative 5 to the other side became 5. Divide both sides by 5. Therefore, x equals 1. That's included in the solution kasi may equal sign na kasama yung is greater than. For denominator, we have 3 minus x. Equate mo bawat isa to 0. X plus 2 equals 0. So therefore, negative x equals negative 3, divide both sides by negative, so therefore x equals 3. And transpose positive 2 to the other side became negative 2. Therefore, the values are x equals 3 and x equals negative 2. Hindi pareho ito part of the solution kasi nasa denominator siya. Pag nasa denominator, always not included in the solution. Okay, your next step is to make a number line and plot all the critical values. So we have 1, it's part of the solution, yung nasa numerator. And we have 3 and negative 2 are not part of the solution. Yung value ng x sa denominator. Kaya unshaded siya. After that, so you make a boundary to make it intervals. So we assign the interval. For instance, this is interval A, B, C, D. There are 4. So you are going to get one value for every interval to test kung alin dyan na region ang part of the solution. Okay. So we have here, for A, I choose negative 3. And when we simplify, 5 times negative 3 minus 5 all over 3 plus 3. Bakit naging plus? Kasi minus yung sign doon. So magiging plus na siya kasi negative 3 times negative is positive 3 times the quantity of negative 3 plus 2. When you simplify, 5 times negative 3 is negative 15 plus negative 5, the same sign is you are going to add, and that's negative 20 over 6 times negative 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. So negative 20 over negative 6 is positive 10 over 3. Is that greater than or equal to 0? Yes. It means that this interval A is part of the solution. So we get 0 as the test point for interval B. Okay? When x is 0, so pag 0 siya, 0 na ito, 0 na ito, 0 na ito. So negative 5 over 3 times 2 is 6. So negative 5 over 6. Is that less than? No, that's false. Dito naman tayo, so between 1 and 3, so we get 2 as the test point. So 5 times 2 minus 5 all over 3 minus 2 times the quantity of 2 plus 2. So this is 10 minus 5 is 5. 3 minus 2 is 1. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. Is 5 over 4 greater than or equal to 0? Yes. Meaning it's part of the solution. And the last interval, hindi naman siya part. Usually, it's alternate. So when x is equal to 4, that's 5 times 4, 20 minus 5 is 15. 3 minus 4 is 1. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 times 1, 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. So it's not a solution. Okay. Ang solution lang itong part sa interval A at yung C. So how to write that, the solution in different ways. For interval notation, that's open interval from negative infinity to negative 2. Union, close, half close interval from 1 to 3. Okay, that's the solution by interval notation or by set notation. So we have the set of all x such that x is greater than or equal to 3 but less than 1, union x is less than negative 2. Ito, less than negative 2. And this one is greater than 3 but less than 3 but greater than or equal to 1. By graph, we have this. Pareho lang doon. Okay? Malinaw po? Okay, very good. Now, for next video, so I'm going to record a video on the fastest way of solving rational inequality.